My glasses broke quite a while back and I fixed them with a safety pin. I don't know if you can see. Wait, that is ingenuity, my friend. Just a quick warning, the following video does contain me using some slurs, not just the Q slur, but other ones. So if you're particularly sensitive, I would suggest giving this video a miss. So I consider myself to be a pretty active and informed member of the LGBT community. Obviously, you know, I don't know everything, there's no way I possibly could, and I'm always learning. But I like to think that I do make that effort to learn. And one of the, shall we say, points of conflict that I've noticed is whether or not asexuals should be allowed to reclaim the word queer. Obviously, by this I mean asexuals who are not transgender, not intersex, and do not experience same-gender attraction, because obviously if you are any of things, you have a right to that word regardless because of that other identity that you have. And I never really had this strong, visceral reaction that a lot of people seem to have about this. Like, I've had people having proper flame wars, screaming and fighting over this, and I never got that. I was kind of open to arguments from both sides. I didn't have a strong reaction. But now that I've thought about it, I think I've kind of reached a personal conclusion. That's not to say I'm totally set. If you have anything you want to say that can contradict me or change my mind or anything like that, tell me in the comments, because I love learning things and seeing things from other people's perspectives. So do that. Also, just another disclaimer here, I am myself asexual, but I also am trans and do experience same-gender attraction, so I guess in some ways I'm kind of biased. So just that's something I thought I had to tell you. Okay, let's get started. Let's start with a statement that I don't think anybody will really argue with me on, which is that you cannot reclaim a slur unless it has been used against you. Okay, fair enough. In this case, asexuals can reclaim queer if they've been called it, which a lot of the time people have. If you don't want to have sex or you don't show an attraction to people of another gender to you, most of the time people will assume that you're gay and they will then go on and call you a multitude of horrible things. But here's the thing, you can only reclaim a slur if it has been used against you. That's why only black people can use the N-word. But I was called the N-word by a white 12-year-old kid at work the other week, so can I reclaim it? The answer is no, but technically that fits with my previous statement, so what do I have to change about it? Here is the change I propose. You can only reclaim a slur if it has been historically used to oppress or marginalise a group of people to which you belong. So although I have been called the N-word, I can't reclaim it because it hasn't been used to marginalise or oppress the race I'm from. It's used to marginalise and oppress black people, which I am not one of. So how does this relate to asexuals and queer? Well, like I said, asexuals are called queer, but they're not called it because they're asexual, they're called it because people assume that they're gay. It's kind of like straight boys being called faggot. They're not allowed to reclaim it because although it was said to them, it was used to degrade and attack gay men. It's weird because asexuals kind of don't have a history to reclaim. That's not to say that asexual people didn't exist in the past, okay? Obviously they did. But they didn't really have an identity or a community, and it feels like this has only come about in the past decade or so. So they don't really have any historical claims or historical oppression to talk about. My conclusion? No. If you're asexual but you don't experience same-gender attraction and you're cis and all of that stuff, you cannot reclaim the word queer because it has not been historically used to marginalise a group that you're from. That is not to say you're not part of the LGBT community, okay? Because those words are not synonymous with each other, okay? You're definitely still part of the community. You're definitely still not straight. You just can't reclaim this word, which, to be honest, is a small thing to have to deal with. You can get over it. It's gonna be okay. Trust me. And also, here's something a lot of people bring up in this argument, which is like, oh, but I'm ace and I've faced so much oppression. And I'm like, yeah, okay, You have. That doesn't mean you can reclaim a slur that wasn't used towards you, because asexuals do face oppression. There's not only erasure, they're also at a much higher rate of sexual assault and corrective rape. There's the constant microaggressions, being told that you're broken or wrong or you don't exist. It is a real problem. But it's kind of like how, say, Asian people face oppression in Western countries. Nobody in the world is saying that Asians aren't oppressed because they can't reclaim the N-word. Just because they're oppressed, just because they're not white, doesn't mean they can reclaim a slur that was historically used against black people. The same with asexuals. Just because they're not straight, just because they face oppression, doesn't mean they can reclaim the word queer. This has been an awful lot of kind of metaphors and comparisons between the word queer and other slurs, but hopefully you do get what I mean. Quick recap. Number 1, you cannot reclaim a slur unless it has been used historically to oppress a group you belong to. Number 2, the word queer has not been historically used to oppress asexual people. Number 3, conclusion, they cannot reclaim the Q word. That's really all I have to say on the topic. Like I said, I'm open to comments and discussions. You can go down in the thing and tell me things, but please do so in a polite manner because I'm just trying to have a conversation here, and like I said, I don't feel super strongly about this. It's just an opinion I've kind of come to after reading a lot of things, talking to people, and then thinking about it by myself for a while. Thank you for listening. I've made quite a few videos on LGBT stuff in a row. Hopefully that continues because I'm actually really interested in this kind of stuff. Don't know if you can tell. And I will see you at some point. Goodbye.